Dear Unc, I really don't know how or even where to begin this at, but my cousin got murdered 2 weeks ago. Shot twice in the head for being in the wrong place at the wrong fucking time. And I keep asking myself, when do we start to believe that this type of behavior is acceptable? And why does it keep happening over and over again? Now, my cousin was everything good about our family. College bound, never in trouble, always willing to help out. And I always thought the world rewarded people like him. I thought that being good actually meant something. Well, I can see I was dead wrong about that. So some piece of shit walks into that store and opens fire. And my cousin died on that cold floor all alone. But probably still wondering what in the hell just happened to him. And I still, for the life of me, can't understand why anyone would want to hurt him. He never hurt anybody. And as it turns out, the guy who did the actual shootings, he didn't even know any of the people he killed that day, or even the ones he left alive who also died a little that day. And I'm so fucking furious, I can't even sleep. I can't eat. And every time I close my eyes, all I can see is him laying there bleeding, dying alone and scared. And it seems like everyone's got someone or something to blame. Video games to music, politics, parents, hell, even society. But nobody's got any real answers. Nobody knows how to stop this shit from happening again. And I swear, I hate what we've become in this country. A place where good kids die buying groceries. And all we can do is just point our fingers at each other. And nowadays, it seems as if everyone's an expert on why it happened, but nobody can tell you how to prevent it from happening. All I really know is that my cousin is dead, and all we got was the blame game and more empty promises. That this can't be how life should be. And the reality of it is, when someone you love gets murdered, anger is the only thing that seems to make any sense. Everything else is just noise from a bunch of people who don't have any real solutions. And here's what really bothers me the most. He'll never get the chance to be anything but 17. So all those dreams, all that potential, gone in a mere 2 seconds because someone else couldn't handle their shit without a gun. Man, what a waste. It's time for us to start waking up, people. Marcus from Tampa. First off, I want to thank you, Marcus, for your submission and offer my condolences to you and your family on your loss. I agree with you, buddy, that this is becoming all too familiar in America. It's just a reoccurring thing, something we just all have grown to live with, I guess, you know. And the problem with that is we don't take it personal until it reaches us directly. I know I didn't until a couple of my nephew's friends that he played football with in high school, who I became personally acquainted with through going to the games and practices and stuff and getting to know the guys, that they were actually murdered. Then it became personal for me. It directly affected me. It touched me. My wife and me are friends, we're really good friends with one of the kids' mother. And I can tell you, she will never be the same, you know. But I think the problem is that because it happens so much and so often, most of us have become desensitized to it. We become numb to it. We've become accustomed to it, you know, after so many years. I mean, this, for me personally, 30 plus years of violence that I've witnessed, the escalation, and it's escalated to, it's not gotten any better. It becomes routine, and what happens is something happens, we feel it for a few days, we forget about it. A few days to a few weeks later, something worse happens, and and the cycle starts again and repeats. It's too bad that we've normalized this type of behavior, and that's wrong. But it I guess in a society where the problem isn't being addressed, is something that sort of like police violence, police brutality. And then we want to point fingers and try to figure out what the contributing factors are, but we need to get to the root cause of what is causing all this violence. People say social media, TV, I don't know, music maybe. And I'm certain that some of those are contributing to the problem. I mean, we do glorify violence. We glorify guns. We glorify drug dealers. We glorify violence, definitely. But I'm not sure that that's the root cause. To me, the root cause is lack of parental guidance, a parent not doing their job. Because if you don't teach your child conflict resolution skills in the home, they're forced to learn them outside the home. And usually by outside the home, excuse me, that means that they're being taught these critical skills by other kids, other people, or other things in the other influences in the neighborhood. We'll just say that. And usually those are negative. Also, let's be real. People grow up in different environments. There are low tension neighborhoods, which are more like traditional neighborhoods. Neighbors look out for each other, that kind of neighborhood. And then you have high tension neighborhoods where there's a lot of drug activity. There may be gang activity. There may be an increase of violence there. Growing up in those two environments are two totally different things, and they render two totally different results. There's a difference between growing up in an environment of love and growing up in an environment of survival. A survival mentality creates a totally different type of individual. Think of predator or prey. That's a very good analogy. In certain areas, you're either predator or you're prey. So you're forced to adapt to survive. Is it right? No. Is it wrong? Who am I to say? But again, I still say it's reality. It's reality. Think of something for a minute. You take a guy who grew up in a high tension neighborhood, so he's violent. He commits an act of violence. He gets locked up. You send him to prison. An equally violent, if not more violent environment. He does time in prison, however long. He picks up new ways, new traits, new things in prison. You send him back to society. The same violent environment that he left, but now he's more violent. And then he perpetuates additional acts of violence. And then we act like we're surprised. Why would we be? And that's what's continuing to happen. I don't see an easy solution out of this. Like, there's no one size fits all solution to this. And there's no quick solution. We're not going to be able to turn a switch on something that's been going on for 30 plus years and turn it off in 5 years. It's just not going to happen. So I think that in my lifetime, the rest of my life, I won't see it. But perhaps in some of your lifetime, you will see the change. Just like I've seen the change in my lifetime, you'll probably see the change in your lifetime. But I can tell you that violence mentality, it doesn't just disappear. It doesn't just go away. Think of a soldier that you send off to some violent war. You teach this man to kill. You put him in the mindset that it's okay to kill. And then you want to bring him back and put him in normal society and expect him to adjust and be like everybody else. Some do. A lot don't. That's the same thing. To change a person's violent, antisocial behaviors, can it be done? I think it can be done. I think it's very labor intensive. And I think it would almost require a type of deprogramming, which we all know will require money, which we all know the government's not going to put into it. So that might be an option that's off the table. Another option, that this is just my own personal opinion, agree to disagree. It starts at home. Parental responsibility. It's a parent's responsibility to teach your child how to deal with conflicts other than picking up a gun. And if you skirt that responsibility and your child under a certain age gets in trouble, especially having committed an act of violence, then you need to be held responsible. You need to have repercussions behind that. And I think that would entice a lot of parents to become more involved in their children's lives, something that I'm not seeing these days. So yeah, holding parents accountable. And I don't know. Again, like I said, I'm one man, one old man. I look at the world differently than maybe a lot of you do who are younger. You have more exposure than I do. Please, by all means, drop it in the comments. Let's talk about this. Let's discuss this problem that directly or indirectly affects all of us. At some point, it's going to affect you, whether you want to believe it or not. And even if it hasn't now, at some point, it's going to affect you. And we need to work on this problem collectively now. The time was 20 years ago, but we kept passing the buck and passing the buck, sort of like what we do on infrastructure. Infrastructure should have been fixed 20 years ago, but we kept passing the buck. Now everything's falling down. That is sort of this same situation. Please, by all means, any input, any ideas, thoughts, you want to write a letter about it, you want to talk about it, please, let's kick some ideas around. Let's work collectively to try to solve this problem. If not solve it, to at least stem the violence, because it's escalating. It's not going away. It's getting worse. More and more kids are learning that, okay, this is how I'm going to handle this situation. And you're seeing it. They're getting younger and younger. We just had, off topic, we just had an incident here in Indy a couple of days back at the fireworks celebration downtown. 7 people shot, 2 dead. Juveniles. One of the deceased had an assault rifle stuffed down the front of his pants. Now, explain to me why your juvenile child is downtown walking around with an assault rifle stuffed down the front of his pants. There's only one reason for that. He's expecting to go to war. He's expecting to go to war downtown with 300,000 people down there. That's a parent's problem. That's parental guidance problem. That's what I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm not going to get on one because you know I can. But as always, take care of yourself and each other. I'm Unc. I'll see you guys in the next one.